Jennifer Lopez's career is over. I mean, did you see her at the American Music Awards? After almost 3 years of being off the air, the AMAs returned on Monday night for the 51st annual event. It was hosted by Jennifer Lopez, who first hosted the show in 2015. Now, some fans went as far as to brand the 2025 AMAs as the worst AMAs in the award ceremony's 51-year history. Now, there were hardly any A-list stars, a bunch of the performances were pre-recorded, and a lot of people didn't agree with the winners. Now, J.Lo did perform, which included a medley of the most popular songs of the year, which many felt fell flat. Now, at one point in her performance, J.Lo locked lips with a male dancer before a female dancer approached her and she kissed her as well. Now, many people thought this was a desperate attempt to draw more attention to J.Lo, bringing shock value to her set, but a lot of people online ended up making fun of the star or straight up didn't care about what happened. "I had to kick things off, you know that, turning it up all the biggest songs of the year and dancing my heart out for all of you," J.Lo said after the set, before saluting to the nation's veterans as the AMA's award show took place on the Memorial Day holiday. But again, people didn't really care. It seems like this hosting gig was a setup for Jennifer, as after the show, she announced her Las Vegas residency. "Surprise, J-lovers, we're back. I'm doing a residency in Las Vegas. Join me for Up All Night Live in Las Vegas at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace, December 30th to January 3rd, and select dates in March," she posted to her Instagram account. This residency marks J.Lo's return to Las Vegas after her previous record-breaking show, Jennifer Lopez All I Have, at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino, which featured 120 performances from 2016 to 2018, grossing more than $100 million. Now, this residency promises to keep audiences up all night, singing, dancing, and living it up with J.Lo, who'll be performing hits from across her musical career, along with exclusive, never-heard-before songs. "We just feel things out. There's not a, like, we're gonna do this at this time. I just feel like I'm ready to perform again. I had to cancel my tour last year, so I've been thinking of performing a lot, and I had such a great time when I was here in Vegas," J.Lo told Las Vegas Now on May 26th. You see, J.Lo had plans to go on tour in the summer of 2024 as she announced her This Is Me live tour, but it was cancelled as she stated that she needed to take time off to be with her children, family, and close friends, and expressed that she was completely heartsick and devastated about letting her fans down. Turns out though, she was going through marriage problems with her then husband Ben Affleck, and they eventually got divorced, but some fans think she's doing this Vegas residency to make back all the money that she lost from the canceled tour. This all seems like a desperate attempt to make more money. And before J.Lo even canceled that tour, her ticket sales were horrible, and she had to rebrand the whole tour because fans didn't connect with her most recent album. Now, hopefully this residency goes better for her, but we'll just have to see how the ticket sales go.
Amber Heard has a negative bank balance. Well, this is the 10 celebrities who went broke and lost it all. Following the defamation trial with Johnny Depp, Amber Heard's attorney stated she is broke due to hefty legal fees associated with the case. Costly litigation. The trial was a lengthy and complex legal battle, involving a large team of lawyers, expert witnesses, and extensive discovery. These costs can quickly mount, depleting even substantial financial resources. The jury found in favor of Johnny Depp, awarding him significant damages. This verdict not only impacted Heard's finances directly, but also potentially damaged her career prospects, further impacting her earning potential. The jury awarded Johnny Depp $10 million and 35 cents in damages. Amber Heard moved away from her home in California to Spain with her daughter in search of privacy after the highly publicized trial. She is currently residing in Madrid. Jim Carrey said he came back from retirement because he needed the money. In an April 2022 interview with Access Hollywood, Carrey stated that he would consider returning to acting only if presented with a truly significant and meaningful role. This retirement was short-lived. In February, Variety confirmed Carrey's return to acting for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. In February 2023, Carrey placed his Los Angeles residence, which he has owned for 3 decades, on the market with an initial asking price of $29 million. After nearly 2 years, the property has been relisted at a reduced price of $19.75 million. You know it's bad when they have to start selling their homes. In 2014, Drake Bell, the former Nickelodeon star of Drake and Josh, filed for bankruptcy. Court documents revealed he owed over $1.5 million in debt, including significant back taxes. Despite his successful career as a child actor, Bell faced financial challenges, highlighting the potential pitfalls of child stardom. This led to the foreclosure of his $2 million Los Angeles home, which he had listed for sale at $1.575 million. Court documents revealed a stark contrast between his income and expenses. He earned only $2,820 per month, while incurring a staggering $18,771 in monthly expenses. This situation highlights the challenges faced by some child stars in navigating financial success and maintaining stability later in life. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage's financial troubles have been well documented. Lavish spending. Cage is known for his eccentric and extravagant spending habits. He has purchased numerous properties, including castles, private islands, and even a dinosaur skull. He also indulged in a wide range of expensive hobbies, such as collecting comic books, owning exotic animals, and acquiring a fleet of luxury cars. Cage made several questionable investments, including real estate ventures that ultimately proved to be unprofitable. He also reportedly invested in risky ventures that did not yield the expected returns. Tax issues. Cage faced significant tax problems, including a $6.3 million debt to the IRS. Lawsuits. He was involved in several lawsuits, including a dispute with his former business manager, which further complicated his financial situation. Sinbad, the comedian known for his stand-up routines and roles in films and television, filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy in 2013. In fact, Sinbad has declared bankruptcy multiple times. New outlets reported that he was filing for bankruptcy again. This time, his delinquent taxes had ballooned to nearly $11 million. This included $8.3 million owed to the federal government for taxes from 1998 to 2006, along with additional federal and state taxes accumulated between 2009 and 2012. Notably, California state taxes from this later period amounted to $2.3 million. It remains unclear whether Sinbad ever made any payments towards the initial $2.5 million owed to California in 2009. Beyond his tax burdens, Sinbad also faced debts to creditors like American Express, $374,979, and Bank of America, $32,199. While his reported income at the time was around $16,000 annually, this was insufficient to cover his substantial debts. You would never have guessed that Michael Jackson lost everything before he passed away, and he still owes a lot of money to the government. Also, there are still lawsuits against Michael Jackson, although he's passed away. Michael Jackson. Years before his tragic passing at 50, a stark reality emerged in 2004. Michael Jackson, despite his global fame, was on the brink of financial ruin, unable to repay a staggering $70 million loan to the Bank of America. Ironically, amidst his mounting financial woes, Jackson reportedly continued to live a life of opulent excess, racking up $2 million in monthly expenses on frivolous luxuries. This extravagant lifestyle ultimately contributed to a staggering debt exceeding $500 million, as revealed by court documents following his untimely death in 2009. From Michael Jackson to 50 Cent having debt of up to $50 million. Significant debt. He cited debts of over $32 million, exceeding his assets at the time. Lawsuit settlement. A major contributor was a $7 million judgment against him for posting an adult video of Lastonia Leviston online without her consent. 50 Cent's bankruptcy proceedings involved a complex repayment plan designed to address his significant debts. Here's a breakdown. Repayment plan proposal. To satisfy his creditors, 50 Cent submitted a detailed repayment plan to the bankruptcy court. This plan outlined how he intended to use his assets and future income to gradually repay the outstanding debts. Court-ordered payment. The bankruptcy court reviewed the proposed plan and ultimately ordered 50 Cent to pay a total of $23.4 million over a 5-year period. This payment schedule was determined based on his financial situation and the assessed value of his assets. Wesley Snipes, a renowned actor known for his roles in films like Blade and White Men Can't Jump, faced serious legal trouble stemming from tax evasion charges. Failure to file tax returns. Snipes was accused of willfully failing to file federal income tax returns for several years, specifically from 1999 to 2004. Conspiracy charges. He was also charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States and knowingly making false and fraudulent claims for payment against the U.S. government. Conviction and sentencing. In 2008, Snipes was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts of failing to file federal income tax returns. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison and fined $5 million. Imprisonment. Snipes began serving his sentence in December 2010 and was released in April 2013. Lindsay Lohan lost everything and owes so much in back taxes. Also, Lindsay Lohan's mom filed for bankruptcy. Lindsay Lohan's mother, Dina Lohan, filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy in 2018. This bankruptcy filing was an attempt to save her Long Island mansion from foreclosure. However, Dina Lohan's bankruptcy case was dismissed due to her failure to provide required financial documents to the court. Lindsay Lohan was once worth tens of millions of dollars, but now sources have her at $800,000 net worth, but still owes a lot in back tax. Lohan reportedly faced wage garnishment due to unpaid debts. Lindsay Lohan has been in a lot of legal troubles, including DUIs, possession of substances, and theft charges, resulting in hefty legal fees, fines, and potential jail time, all of which strain finances. She's had failed business ventures. Some of Lohan's business ventures, such as her clothing line, were not successful. Years ago, it was reported that Lindsay Lohan had an $8,000 monthly mansion rental, a $40,000 tanning salon bill, and a staggering $144,000 storage locker.
There's always been rumors that Lea Michele was hard to work with on the set of Glee, but they were really confirmed in 2020 when fellow co-stars called her out for being mistreated by her. It appears that a lot of the main cast don't even speak to Lea anymore. Now later that year, Heather Morris spoke out about Lea, saying, "Was she unpleasant to work with? Very much so. For Lea to treat others with the disrespect that she did for as long as she did, I believe that she should be called out, and yet it's also on us, because to allow it to go on for so long without speaking out is something we're learning along with the rest of society." Then in 2021 she revealed, "We absolutely could have stepped up and gone to the Fox execs and said how we felt about the situation, but no one did. I think many people were very scared, and I know genuinely I felt like it wasn't my place, and I don't know why, because I was a cast member," she said. Now Heather then added that the only person honest about Lea's attitude on Glee was the late Naya Riviera. In Naya's 2016 memoir, she claimed that their relationship started to break down because her character began getting bigger plot lines and more screen time. Naya said, "I think Lea didn't like sharing the spotlight," which isn't that surprising. Naya claims that things got so bad that the two were barely speaking by the end of her time on the show. Now insiders also say that Lea made unreasonable demands on the set of Glee, which included having her own makeup artist and food catered from LA restaurants. Now according to the rumors, she's even been known to mock fans behind their backs. Now Chevy Chase has quite a reputation in Hollywood. He was an original member of Saturday Night Live and was on the show for 2 years. While on the show, there were rumblings of him being difficult to work with and just straight up egotistical. After leaving, he came onto the show to host 8 times. However, his 8th time hosting would be his last after it was learned that Chevy hit a cast member in the back of the head. Creator and producer Lorne Michaels ended up banning Chevy from coming on the show, but he later returned for smaller roles. Then there was his time on the show Community. He ended up using a racial slur during an on-set rant about his character arc, which resulted in him walking off set. Chevy also never had a good relationship with showrunner Dan Harmon. Now after Chevy refused to film an important scene in season 3, Dan reportedly called him out at a wrap party. Chevy then left an angry voicemail on the showrunner's phone, and due to this he made a deal with NBC and his character was killed off the show, and that was that. Now it since appears that he has a difficult time getting roles as his reputation is so bad. Although Marlon Brando was a Hollywood legend starting in countless iconic films, the more successful he got in his career, the harder it was to work with him. I mean, The Island of Dr. Moreau is famously one of the most chaotic films ever made, both in terms of the movie itself, but also the shooting process. Now part of this was due to the behavior of Marlon, who would mostly just stay in his trailer, quote, eating copious amounts of pizza and not opening the door to to anyone. When he did come out to shoot some scenes, however, he insisted on doing things his way, which included him wearing all white face paint, wearing a dress, and having an ice bucket strapped to the top of his head. Now, he also got very attached to actor Nelson De La Rosa, one of the shortest men of the last 2 centuries, measuring under 28 inches tall. Now, speaking about Marlon just doing whatever he wanted, director John Frankenheimer said, "Brando absolutely fell in love with this guy. He put him on his chest in the hammock and sang Frog 1 accounting to him. There was 90 minutes of that. This is all I can persuade Brando to do." In general though, he often refused to memorize his lines and would force the actors to wear cue cards to help him with his lines. Now, this is absolutely crazy that people would even put up with this. Now, Alec Baldwin has quite a temper, which has led to many outbursts and people not wanting to work with him. There were a lot of reports during the show 30s Rock that Alec was often late and held up production. He used to yell at the crew and cast, and had a habit to complain about ridiculous things like the air being too dry. Cheyenne Jackson, who was working with him on 30 Rock, once said, "What I learned from him was really good comedic timing and don't get in his light." Now, from getting in fights with the paparazzi and cast members, a lot of people won't hire him, especially after what happened on the Rust movie set. Now, in 2007, a voicemail that he left for his young daughter was leaked where he was yelling at her and called her a rude, thoughtless little pig for not answering a scheduled phone call, and said she had humiliated him for the last time. Then, in 2011, Alec was kicked off an American Airlines flight after he refused to turn off his cell phone when crew members asked him to. A statement posted to the American Airlines Facebook page read, "The passenger was extremely rude to the crew, calling them inappropriate names and using offensive language." So yeah, if that's how he acts in public and in the privacy of his own home, I'm sure he's horrible on set too. Daniel Day-Lewis is known for his dedication to method acting, but honestly, a lot of the time he went too far, which made working with him extremely difficult. When he was playing a man who suffered from cerebral palsy in the film My Left Foot, he had to be lifted to his car every morning and driven to the studio where he'd be transported into a wheelchair and taken onto the set. Now, they would even have to carry him in his wheelchair over cables to get to the actual set. Now, this would be repeated at the end of the day of filming, and he'd be taken to restaurants around Dublin and insist on being spoon-fed like his character would have been. Now, he also refused to call anyone by their name or be called by anything but his character. Now, this was extremely prevalent with his film Lincoln, where he played Abraham Lincoln. He made the cast and crew call him Mr. President, and even the director Steven Spielberg had to call him that too. Now, apparently this went on for the entire length of production, and he didn't break character for 3 months. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who played Lincoln's son, said of the actor, "I never met Daniel in person, I only ever met the president. I called him sir, he called me Robert." Now, Bill Murray has been in the industry for a long time, but it's a shocker that people still want to work with him after all these stories that have come out against him. Now, Bill was not behaving properly while on the set of Groundhog Day. Now, Bill was so fed up with the studio and the director that he would dodge phone calls, be late to shoots, and just straight up ignore them all. Now, the communication between himself, the studio, and director Harold Ramis was so poor that they suggested Bill get an assistant to deal with all of that. So he hired a personal assistant that was profoundly deaf, did not have oral speech, spoke only American Sign Language, which Bill did not speak, nor did anyone else in the production, Harold told Entertainment Weekly. But Bill said, "Don't worry, I'm going to learn sign language," and I think it was so inconvenient that in a couple of weeks he gave that up. Yeah, that sounds like it would make things extremely difficult. Then there's the fact that Bill didn't always get along with his co-stars, including Lucy Liu, who called out the star a couple years ago. And Mike Myers is well known for starring in Shrek and Cat in the Hat, but it's said that he was very difficult to work with. It's said that he had a powerful hold on the production of Cat in the Hat, and he was afforded a level of control and freedom to do whatever he wanted, as his co-star Amy Hill remembered. According to Amy, Mike even had a man whose sole responsibility was to hold his chocolates for him and bring him them when he wanted some. She said, "It was just a horrible, nightmarish experience. I don't think Mike got to know anybody. He'd just be with his people and walk away. People would come and he'd stand there. There was a guy who held his chocolates in a little Tupperware. Whenever he needed chocolate, he'd come running over and give him a chocolate. That's what divas are like, I guess. Or people who need therapy," she said. That sounds absolutely crazy, and it's been said that Mike feels the need to have control over everything on set, which makes it difficult for people to do their job. During his career, Mike Tyson earned at least $430 million, but his spending habits put an end to that. During his marriage to Robin Givens, he he bought her a bathtub made out of 24-karat gold that reportedly cost him $2.2 million. He also reportedly spent $210,000 on Siberian tigers, $400,000 on trained pigeons, and $300,000 on landscaping. Now, that is to say nothing about Tyson's $22 million mansion, as well as the fact that he spends $100,000 a month on jewelry and $300,000 annually on partying. Now, he also had an incredibly expensive car collection, just like many other celebrities. Now, according to reports, Tyson bought at least 111 different cars over the years, including many that were extremely expensive. Now, in the years since Tyson became a world-famous boxer, he has been sued way too many times and had to pay out a lot of money because of that. While there's no way to know how much money he lost between 3 lawsuits, there is every reason to assume it was a significant figure. Now, as a result, those lawsuits almost certainly played a role in the former boxer declaring bankruptcy in 2003. Now, according to the bankruptcy filing, he was reportedly $27 million in debt at that point. "I have been in financial distress since 1998, when I was burdened with substantial debt to Showtime, taxing authorities, and parties to litigation," he said in an affidavit. "Since that time, although my fight income, various asset sales, and litigation recoveries have enabled me to pay a lot of my debt, I am still unable to pay my bills." Now, speaking about his financial issues at the SALT conference in 2017, he said, "I didn't think I'd make it through my 30s. But now, in 2025, his net worth is estimated to be around $20 million, which is way better than before. Now, hopefully this time, he'll spend his money more responsibly." Johnny Depp's films have amassed over $12 billion in global box office earnings. Johnny accumulated in a total income of $300 million from all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and at his peak, his net worth reached approximately $900 million. By 2012, he was listed by the Guinness World Records as the world's highest paid actor, but Johnny's extravagant lifestyle and significant monthly expenses led to a staggering expenditure of $650 million from 2003 to 2016. According to his financial manager, he was spending an incredible $2 million per month on his lifestyle, maintaining 14 residences, a collection of 70 guitars, and a refined taste for high-quality wines. Now, additionally, he exclusively travels by private plane, opting for a Gulfstream GV, incurring a monthly cost of $200,000. Now, he's also been involved in a handful of lawsuits that have cost him as well. While he's definitely not doing as bad in the money department now, he could have had way more funds if he spent it better. Toni Braxton first filed for bankruptcy in 1998, at which time she was $5 million in debt. Everyone was confused because at the time of her filing, she had a sold-out world tour and millions of albums sold. But it turned out the reason why she was in debt was because she was suing her record label. Yep, she was trying to terminate her recording contract because she was only receiving 33 cents per album, making it impossible to make money from album sales, which is honestly just crazy. Her career then began to soar, and she became the headlining act at the Flamingo Hotel's casino, which seemed to be going great until it wasn't. You see, the singer collapsed on stage during a show in April 2007 and was hospitalized immediately after. She told ABC News in 2012, "The Vegas show, I just renewed my contracts with all my vendors, and then a month later I got sick, I couldn't work, and I could not afford to pay them back." Now, Toni was forced to file bankruptcy again in October 2010. In the filing, Toni was reportedly as much $50 million in debt. She owed money to a wide range of creditors, including the IRS, Tiffany & Co., AT&T, and Neiman Marcus. Now, she reportedly spent $2.5 million on makeup, clothing, and hair alone in under 2 years. Then, in July 2013, Toni lost the rights to 27 of her most famous songs as part of her ongoing bankruptcy case. That means she's no longer eligible to receive the lion's share of the royalties for the sales of her own music. Eventually, a bankruptcy court wiped away a good chunk of her debt, but she was really struggling at one point. Now, Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag lost their house in the LA wildfires, which is devastating and comes with challenges as they might not have the funds to rebuild. Now, the couple got married in 2009 and have been inseparable since, which means that their debt is huge and shared. Their combined fortune was $10 million at their peak, but they quickly blew it all away. Their money failures included millions of dollars spent on designer clothes and handbags, hair and makeup, and Heidi's plastic surgery sessions. Additionally, they wasted $2.5 million on Heidi's musical career, which only produced one album and at the time sold a total of only 6,000 units. Now, Spencer would later admit to blowing $500,000 on healing crystals that were meant to give off positive energy. Now, their combined net worth today is estimated to be at $300,000, but currently though, it's reported that they're suing the city for their house burning down, so maybe they'll get some more money that way. Now, Stephen Baldwin filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2009. The actor and his wife accumulated $2 million in debt. He owed $1.2 million on 2 mortgages, $70,000 in credit card debt, and $1 million in federal taxes. In 2012, the actor was arrested for failing to pay taxes for 3 years. A judge ordered that he pays $300,000, and the ruling stated if the debt was paid in a year, the charge would be removed from his record. But he would otherwise serve 5 years probation, and in the end, he ended up serving probation. His house was foreclosed in 2017 after he failed to make a mortgage payment for 6 years, and as of right now, his estimated net worth is around $1 million, which is honestly way better than it used to be. Randy Quaid was quickly growing in his career, but that all started to go downhill in 2008. He was doing stage acting at the time, and a committee from the Actors Equity Association, the labor union representing American stage actors, banned Randy for life and fined him more than $81,000. Apparently, all 26 members of the musical cast he was in brought charges that Randy physically and verbally mistreated his fellow performers. With no longer being a stage actor, film and TV acting was his only choice, but that didn't last long, as in September 2009, Randy and his wife Evie were arrested for not paying a $10,000 hotel bill. They were then arrested again for squatting in a home that they used to own, so they skipped town and headed to Canada. Though people assume that the Quaids were on the run from the law, they claim that they fled to the north to avoid the Hollywood Star Whackers, which is a secret organization that took celebs out or manufactured scandals to discredit them. Well, that's what they say. Now, Randy told the Vancouver Press about the mysteries behind the Star Whackers, and he claimed that Heath Ledger and Chris Penn were their latest victims. Since those bizarre claims, the Quaids were arrested and released once more in 2015, but today Randy's net worth is sitting at negative $1 million, which is just crazy. When Michael Jackson passed away in 2009, it was revealed that he owed up to $500 million. One accountant testified that Michael had an ongoing cash crisis, that he was spending $30 million more than he earned every year, which spiraled him into a debt crisis. It was revealed that Michael had actually burned through $1 billion in the span of just 20 years. When he appeared in a documentary in 2003, he spent $6 million in 1 hour during a shopping trip in Las Vegas. Now, he also splashed out $100,000 on CCTV for his Neverland Ranch, and $2.5 million was spent on annual salaries to manage the ranch for him. Now, after his death, the executors of his estate were able to save Michael's financial state thanks to an aggressive tactic. They sold all of his future music rights to Sony for $250 million. Once his debts were settled, his heirs could finally access their inheritance. Now, 40% of his assets were split equally between his 3 children, and the other 40% was left to his mother, Katherine Jackson. And the final 20% of the superstar's estate was left to various children's charities.
For starters, with Jay Z, people just do not like him right now because he's been accused of inappropriately engaging with a young person alongside Sean Diddy Combs. So yeah, we're straight to the point with this one. Jay Z has not been found guilty by any means. He was just recently tied to an accusation against Diddy. A woman alleges that when she was little, she attended a Diddy party, was inebriated, and while under the influence was attacked by the rappers inappropriately. Originally, she only named Diddy in the case, with the other celebrities referred to as Celebrity A and Celebrity B, but obviously, that's changed. The case has alleged that celebrity A was Jay Z, and there is a possibility that matters were settled behind closed doors with them, as that's what Jane Doe's legal team allegedly attempted to do with Jay Z, but obviously failed in that case. So yeah, there's some pretty serious allegations against the rapper right now. Already, people were kind of getting like celebrity fatigue when it came to Jay Z and Beyonce, and what that is in simple terms, people have seen a lot of them recently, and now they are tired of seeing them and want something new. Already dealing with an unfavorable public opinion and then having this thrown into the mix is a recipe for fame disaster. People really don't want to see Jay Z in public anymore and think that he shouldn't even be invited to major events with everything that he's been accused of. At first, it was just the new live-action Lion King red carpet, which his daughter and his wife were both involved with the movie, and the accusations had only recently come out a few days before, so it made sense that he might still want to attend that carpet. However, people were outraged at seeing him next to his family at the Grammy Awards a couple weeks ago. Many thought it was wrong to have him at the luxurious event and criticized the move. Some even considered this as Jay Z desperately trying to maintain his star status amidst all the negative things happening. It was also made into a bigger deal when Kendrick Lamar won 5 Grammys for his diss track, Not Like Us. The song is about his feud with somebody else, it's with Drake. However, the themes of the song can technically relate to Jay Z right now, considering what he's been accused of. In the song, Kendrick calls out Drake for acting in a strange manner when it comes to younger people. This is something that the rapper has been held accountable for by the public before. It was discovered that he was personally messaging young female stars, not like saying anything too weird, but people still found it weird that he was texting them so much to the point where they would think of him as a close friend. Yeah, people thought it was hypocritical of the Grammys to give so many awards to a song that features sections commenting how it's wrong to mistreat young people when there was someone sitting in the audience that has been accused of doing just that. Now again, Jay Z has not been found guilty. He is adamant that he isn't guilty. Still, much of the public's favor has been lost and likely won't return until we get an official. Beyoncé is an international household name with numerous hit singles, but people are questioning why the star feels the need to remain in the spotlight for so long. She has released a total of 8 albums, and that's not including things like live albums or soundtracks, etc. Those that have worked for / with the star in the past have remarked about her insane work ethic. Some even referred to her as a robot with the amount of work that she can get done in a day. Earlier in her career, Beyoncé was everywhere, but her career really took off with her hit single, Single Ladies. This went viral at a time when going viral was kind of this new thing. You couldn't escape Beyoncé or Beyoncé-related content or Beyoncé parodies simply because she was the moment. However, people started getting celebrity fatigue. It happens to the best of them. Suddenly, it became annoying to see Beyoncé, and even though she might not have changed, the public's perception of her did, and soon she started disappearing between album releases, something the singer has addressed. The artist did an interview last year in which she said that fame started to feel like a prison for her. So instead of staying active in between album releases, she started to disappear. Choosing not to appear on red carpets as much anymore or not doing as many interviews, she wants to focus on the art she creates and specifically her time with her family. But if you're sitting there wondering why this particular conversation about Beyoncé's fame level is reigniting right now, please think of the recent Grammy Awards, where Beyoncé won Best Country Album and Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. People are pretty upset that Cowboy Carter took home these trophies. The Album of the Year won because, well, their own favorites just didn't win, or they just think that this wasn't Beyoncé's best work. And then the country album because some people just didn't like that Beyoncé tried out the genre. Beyoncé's country talents have been called into question since the album's March 2024 release date. Country is pretty different from what Beyoncé has been known to do. Many of her past works include pop, R&B, and hip-hop, and everybody knows that once you enter the music industry, you have to stay in the genres you started with, and you absolutely can't cross over at all. That is not allowed. The more aggressive of those that didn't like Cowboy Carter have accused the singer of rigging the Grammys to steal awards from the other artists, aka those that kind of started with country and have stuck to country, except for Post Malone, who was also nominated and was another artist that did switch his sound up a lot for this album, but this is different from Beyonce because his fans have deemed him a genre hopper that doesn't really stick to one thing. He tries it all, but many of his songs before were pop, R&B, and hip-hop. Some country fans have said that the only country that they want to listen to is by those with a passion for the genre, not someone who is just looking to try it out for fun. And that's fair. You can tell when a person creating art doesn't really have their heart in it, and that's no fun. However, after some digging, I discovered a couple sources that suggest that Beyonce actually didn't just hop into the country genre just for fun, and she does have a passion for it. Back in 2016, she made headlines when she performed her country song Off Lemonade, Daddy Lessons at the CMA Awards. This was met with about as much backlash as she is now getting for her 2025 Grammy wins, but Beyonce's apparent love for country music dates almost a decade earlier than that. A 2007 article suggests that Beyonce had been thinking about writing country music for a long time. A source at the time said that Beyonce was considering making a country album next. In the end, her next album release was I Am Sasha Fierce, which is not country at all, so where did that source even get that from? Well, in 2007, Beyonce performed a country version of her hit Irreplaceable at the AMAs with country band Sugarland. The country remix was surprisingly great. I never would have thought it would work that well with that song. Beyonce didn't sing the song with that characteristic country twang. She very much kept her own sound, but it still worked just fine, and Sugarland was awesome as well. The It Ends With Us drama is never ending. There's a lot of serious accusations flying around, and now even videos. After noticing that director Justin Baldoni and lead actress Blake Lively seemed to keep distance from one another at the It Ends With Us premiere, social media users were quick to deduce that the pair must be feuding. Pretty soon, people were picking sides, some Team Justin, citing past interviews of Lively in which she was rude, others choosing to be Team Blake as no one from the cast was backing Justin and they all seemed to support Lively, which felt weird. Eventually, Lively was losing the battle, and necessarily that Justin was winning either. Lots of people were hating on Blake Lively just because they wanted to, but then it was revealed that Justin had allegedly hired a PR team to start a smear campaign against her, and that's when the lawsuits started flying. Justin sued Blake, she sued back, he sued her husband, Ryan Reynolds. It is a mess. In one of her suits, Lively accused Baldoni of acting inappropriately on set and adding intimate actions into scenes when they were not scripted, etc. These are really serious accusations to make against someone, especially if they are insisting on their innocence. Lively had referenced a particular scene, and so Justin's legal team decided to release footage of that scene to help clear his name. 10 minutes worth of footage. His team had promised that they were going to create a whole website with all the evidence that they have collected to clear Justin's name, which is quite unusual for a legal case. Usually cards are played in the courtroom, but this became a social media trial a long time ago. Releasing the footage ended up really working in Baldoni's favor. Many people began taking his side for a number of reasons. He had receipts, they felt he wasn't being that inappropriate in the scene in the end, they believed that Blake was flirting with him in the scene, there's a lot going on. Point is, Lively has lost a lot of public support, and that's not a good thing in their chosen profession. In order to stay working, actors need the public to love them, or at least appreciate their body of work. Baldoni is fighting so hard to prove that he is innocent. It's safe to say that of the two, Blake Lively is more famous and has more iconic roles on her resume. That, on its own, gives her a lot of power in Hollywood, plus she's married to Ryan Reynolds. She has a bit of a safety cushion there. Justin doesn't have that luxury, and if he were to lose the public's favor, he would lose everything. At least, that's how a lot of people see it. Before, this situation was between Baldoni and Lively and Ryan Reynolds by extension, but now, Blake Lively has filed an amended complaint that she wasn't the only woman on set that experienced negative behavior at the hands of Baldoni and a producer of the film. She has now claimed that 2 other actresses from that set are ready to testify and give evidence that they also experienced mistreatment during filming. It's not clear yet who the actresses are, though people are speculating that it would be co-stars Jenny Slate, who played Lively's best friend in the movie, and Isabel Ferrer, who played a young Lively. Despite this, people are still firmly anti-Blake and saying that she just can't accept that people just don't like her and that she is on her way to losing a $400 million lawsuit. A$AP Rocky has gone to court and faces up to 24 years in prison after he was accused and caught on camera firing at a past friend of his. Well, at this point I'm just kind of assuming it's a past friend. I don't know how one comes back from an altercation like that and then going to court over it. The initial incident happened actually way back in 2022, so this has been going on for a while. Fans have been on the edges of their seats waiting to hear if A$AP will go free or lose it all. The rapper was accused by a friend of firing at him after the pair got into a verbal and then physical altercation. The incident was captured by surveillance cameras in the area and was shown to the jury, and then later seen by the public when it was leaked online. Rocky's defense rested on the fact that he wasn't actually carrying a weapon and that it was simply a prop. You can hear bangs in the video, but it was agreed that it's hard to see if there were actually projectiles. The victim in the case claimed that his knuckle was brushed with a projectile, and he later received medical attention for it. However, Rocky's defense provided sufficient evidence for reasonable doubt. The victim, however, claims that he had the casings from the incident, but police that responded to the scene say that they couldn't find anything on the day. The argument to remedy this was that the victim just knew where to look. The victim took 2 days to report the incident, and surveillance footage taken on the day allegedly doesn't back up his claim to find the casings. Some people theorize that the victim planted the casings to make A$AP Rocky appear guilty. There is also dramatic moments inside the courtroom too, including one witness calling A$AP Rocky's lawyer annoying, and then another time when another witness was asked about the meaning behind the acronym AWGE, to which Rocky verbally told the man mid-trial to not say anything. It's pretty rare that someone would interrupt court proceedings in this manner. The meaning behind AWGE was never actually shared. In the A$AP Rocky extended universe, this is the thing that only a handful of people know, it seems. It's kind of like his branding, almost like his Fight Club kind of. There's 2 rules: you don't reveal the meaning, and when in doubt refer to rule number 1. But what was this verdict? Did A$AP lose everything, and is he going to be behind bars for up to 24 years? No, he was not found guilty. He was overjoyed with the results and literally ran to hug his girlfriend. He was overjoyed with the results and literally ran to hug his girlfriend and mother to their children, Rihanna. He literally almost jumped over the barrier to get to her. It was really sweet. Fans, they're obviously very happy with the results of the trial. Photos and videos of Justin Bieber out on the town have gone viral recently due to the fact that the singer is looking a bit more tired than normal. People are saying that he looks ragged, haggard, and just downright exhausted. And if he is, I wouldn't blame him. Growing up in the industry is tough, people constantly saying you're on the brink of divorcing your wife is hard, and caring for a brand new little member of the family is difficult. And imagine having to do all that while maintaining a worldwide brand. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that would send me into a nervous breakdown for sure. Bieber and wife Hailey Bieber welcomed their son in August of 2024, so they are probably still getting used to having their sleep schedules absolutely demolished. The easy answer to Justin's recent public appearances being less energetic than in the past is that he's simply tired from caring for his new family. However, of course, people have begun to speculate that there's other factors at play. Bieber has been accused of relying on substances, and in general, fans have expressed concerns for the performer's health. Bieber's style has also changed a lot from what people remember seeing him. He's favored an oversized, loose look in recent years that is unlike the pop star persona fans grew attached to. Though it's clear that this fashion is what makes the star comfortable, fans are saying he's let himself go. Rumors of divorce are also running rampant after Justin unfollowed Hailey on social media, and the couple were seen out on the town without the other. Fans were sent into an upset earlier in the year when they noticed that Bieber had unfollowed his wife on Instagram. The star has been on a bit of an unfollow spree lately, and the reason this matters so much to people is because Bieber isn't the type of celebrity that follows like 0 people. He's following almost 800 different accounts, so if he unfollows someone, fans take it as a message. In addition to his wife, the star unfollowed past friends and co-workers, and then in the past couple days he's unfollowed a lot of other music artists, and people are just really keeping an eye on things. There was so much chaos online regarding his unfollowing of Hailey that Justin actually posted a statement to his Instagram story to explain what happened. Apparently, His account was hacked. While it might seem ridiculous that his account would be hacked for the sole purpose of unfollowing his wife, I raise you the years of online and, in rare cases, in-person harassment that this couple has endured because people think they shouldn't be together. Whether that's because they don't like him, they don't like her, they want to be with JB, or they want him to get back together with ex-Selena Gomez, this couple has had the cards stacked against them for a long time. Recently, Hailey held a party for her skincare brand, and fans were quick to notice that Justin was not in attendance. Instead, he was spotted out to dinner with friends. Obviously, fans took this as a sign that the couple were on the rocks. Divorce rumors have been around for them since pretty much the beginning of their relationship, despite the couple's attempts to show that everything is alright. Hailey Bieber posted a sweet look at her and Justin's Valentine's Day activities to her Instagram. They went out to dinner and they cuddled, so it was very average if you ask me. Celebrities, they're just like us. Probably the most famous and incredibly heartbreaking account of a celebrity having footage leaked and then losing everything is that of Pamela Anderson. Anderson was discovered after being spotted in the crowd at a sports game. The crowd thought she was gorgeous, and soon she became a model and then later an actress. Her fame steadily grew with appearances in shows like Home Improvement and Baywatch. Eventually, she married Tommy Lee and everything looked like paradise. The couple was clearly happy and in love, but the good times came to a screeching halt when an electrician hired to work on the couple's home was fired. As revenge, the man stole the couple's tape of their intimate moments from their safe and leaked it to the public. Anderson and Lee were torn apart for this, even though it wasn't really their fault at all. People said that Anderson shouldn't be upset though, because she was already acting sensually in magazines and on TV. In one extreme case, she was apparently told that because she posed for a popular sensual magazine, she had no right to privacy. Her blossoming career was put on pause, and she didn't return to the level of fame she once had until very recently. Thanks to recent societal events like the Me Too movement and just, in general, little tolerance for revenge of that manner, Anderson has been able to take back her career. She's received rave reviews for her performance in 2024's The Last Showgirl and her successful 2023 book, Love, Pamela. Would you put your health at risk for a role? Maisie Williams starred in the 2024 drama The New Look, and fans noticed that the name of the series fit the actress well. She was playing the role of Catherine Dior, a woman that has been through it physically and emotionally, and Williams made sure that she looked the part, but at what cost? Apparently, she could barely sleep through the night, and she definitely wasn't eating. Speaking with Harper's Bazaar UK, she shared the little food she did have during filming, and also what her routine looked like. She said there was lots of meditating and candles and incense burning. Her day started at 4 a.m., but not always for filming purposes. Instead, it was to start sweating. At around 7 or 8 p.m., the actress would eat smoked salmon and some wine or just something dehydrating. The next step was a hot bath with salts and then off to bed, where she said that she would only sleep for roughly 3 hours and then would wake up to eat a handful of nuts, often not sleeping through the night. It sounds rough, and it was. She had to get regular checkups with medical professionals, tests, and even heart rate measurements to make sure that she was okay. But when you think of Hollywood actors that immerse themselves in a role, Christian Bale should probably be at the forefront of your mind. This man has gone from 120 to 220 pounds within a year. While his commitment to a role is to be respected, that doesn't mean it's always safe, and definitely not something to try at home. See, when you hear about actors losing or gaining a lot of weight for roles, they might joke that all they did was eat a lot of junk food or only drink water and eat apples, but the reality is that many famous people have teams that work with them to create a diet to get them to the finish line as safe as possible. That is how Bale got himself from the malnourished Trevor in The Machinist to the strong Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins. Personal trainers also help you know what to eat to gain the pounds where you want them, because the same weight can look very different if it's all muscle. When Bale was getting ready to play Batman, he got up to that 220, but he ended up actually looking a bit too buff, like absolute Batman, I'm guessing, for our comic fans out there. So he ended up losing about 30 of those pounds again to achieve the Bruce Wayne look. But you might recall, or not, that Bale was also around 230 pounds in American Hustle and also in Vice, and his character was not a buff superhero physique in those. Of course, people can choose to just eat a lot of pies like Bale claimed that he did when gaining the weight for the title role in Vice, but usually the big household names, they're able to change their body shape so drastically because they have access to those that understand how to get there without literally passing away, because that is a real possibility. Every time Christian Bale loses or gains weight for a role, because it happens more than you would think, the man is a chameleon, Experts warn the general public about following in his footsteps. Losing and also gaining extreme amounts of weight quickly stresses out the body. You risk messing with your metabolism and organs, including the heart. You increase your risk of illness and disease, and sometimes you won't even feel the effects until much later. Bale recognizes the risks of weight fluctuations and has spoken out about it, even promising to himself not to do it anymore, but then, a great role comes along and things might change. Hugh Jackman had no idea that by playing Wolverine in a shot-in-the-dark comic book movie, he would become tethered to that role for the rest of his life, which is an amazing thing because he is the Wolverine, but it comes with its own set of challenges, like extreme body transformations. Sure, in the OG movies, the type of body that looked strong to the public was way more authentic to what a strong body actually looks like in real life. This might shock you, but the average strong person doesn't have the washboard abs look. Not that they don't have defined abs, but the ultra defined, like someone increased the contrast in real life look, a person usually has to lose water weight to get it. So that means no drinking water at all. When Jackman and other superhero stars began talking about this publicly, it raised a question with the public. Is seeing a 10-pack in 4K really worth an actor dehydrating himself for days? However, Jackman's dehydration is nothing compared to what this man will do for musical theater. Hugh Jackman famously starred as Jean Valjean in the movie musical Les Mis. Jackman said while promoting the film that the prep for his opening sequence was harder than anything he'd ever done for a superhero movie, at least until that point. His character begins his journey just getting out of a 19-year prison sentence that featured lots of hard labor and little food, so the character physically has to look awful and malnourished. The tricky part is he would also need to look strong because of the labor, but also sickly because of the starvation, and he also needed to sing. The director told the actor that he had to look so strikingly thin that his friends would think he was actually sick. That meant that he would be making multiple gym trips a day and eating just enough to not totally pass out. He almost did though. On the day of shooting, the actor admitted to being grumpy, dizzy, and in pain. In preparation for the 12-hour shoot day, the actor hadn't drank anything for 36 hours, but he says it was all worth it. Fans adored Henry Cavill's Witcher, and the actor adored the role to the point where he could smell water. Hugh Jackman spoke about dehydrating for an aesthetic, and Henry Cavill is continuing that conversation. Cavill's character, the Witcher in The Witcher, is pretty buff because he fights monsters all the time. There was a scene in the show where Cavill was shirtless, and he went through all the diet gymnastics to keep that defined physique, but the actor also brought up that he didn't drink water for 3 days before shooting. I imagine he probably didn't drink much of anything else either, considering he claimed that by shooting, he could smell water, which is kind of cruel considering the shot that he was prepping for took place in a hot tub. Part of me hopes that he was just joking, though I don't doubt that he was incredibly parched in that moment. Matthew McConaughey starred in the Dallas Buyers Club, and it's considered one of his best performances to date. His acting was stellar, but audiences couldn't help but notice that the man was considerably slimmer than what they were used to seeing. Despite worry, the actor assured people that he got the look in a healthy manner, eating fresh fish, tapioca pudding, and wine in small amounts. Not starving himself, but just eating less. And well, actually, the wine didn't need to be in small amounts. But he said the hardest part of it all was making the darn choice. He was playing a character living with HIV, and so he wanted to pay homage to their life as much as he could. Jake Gyllenhaal ended up permanently changing his body after filming 2014's Nightcrawler. Okay, maybe I'm being a bit dramatic, but technically I am not lying, he ended up with a scar. He also lost 30 pounds to play Lou Bloom, but that wasn't a permanent change by any means. Nightcrawler was about a cameraman obsessed with getting the coveted money shot. The reason Gyllenhaal found himself losing weight was not just to physically look like the character, he also suggested it was to get into his mental state as well. He said that the character was always hungry, literally, of course, but also figuratively speaking. He was hungry for that money shot. So, in Jake's words, he said that he got into the mode where he was always a bit hungry. Despite him physically changing considerably, Gyllenhaal has said that he doesn't view the weight loss as anything but getting into character. And when people asked how he did it, the actor simply said that he had no technique and it was the love of the film. And then regarding that scar, there's a scene in the movie in which he smashes a mirror. Andra Day received rave reviews for her performance as Billie Holiday in 2021's The United States vs. Billie Holiday. It was her first acting role, and the actress admitted that she felt nervous about that and was willing to do anything to make sure she did the role justice, including getting the body of the era, in her words, and even adopting some damaging habits. Day ended up losing 39 pounds, going from 163 to 124. She said she did it because she didn't want her body to look look like a gym body of 2020. She wanted to physically look more accurate to the period, but she doesn't recommend how she got there. She said that the lack of food made her feel weak. She took up smoking and drinking, which did make her feel more like the character. However, that was something the performer has stayed away from in the past, as she is a singer first, and those activities can be damaging to the vocal cords. Though she had nothing to be nervous about with her acting debut, it's understandable that the actress still felt that way, especially considering she was playing the iconic Billie Holiday. She said she was desperate and didn't want to be terrible. She was nominated for an Oscar and won a Golden Globe. In a slightly less extreme version of an actor taking on an iconic musician role and changing their body to do it, we have Timothée Chalamet. He starred in last year's A Complete Unknown, and he was also nominated for an Oscar in that role. Now, both Bob Dylan and Chalamet, they're pretty skinny guys, but Lil Timmy Tim was actually too skinny for the part, or he felt like he was. He shared on the All Things Considered podcast that he gained 20 pounds to play Dylan, in addition to also learning how to play guitar and sing. You might recall that Hugh Jackman lost a lot of weight for his Les Mis role, but he wasn't the only cast member to do it. Anne Hathaway was also eating what was described as rabbit food to get into the mindset of her character, Fantine. The musical takes place during a revolution, and lots of the characters are having a rough go at it, but it was still a shock to viewers when Hathaway appeared on the screen looking nothing like herself, and extremely frail. It of course became a topic of conversation, but all Hathaway was willing to reveal was that her diet was called starvation. The actress lost 25 pounds for the role, 10 before and 15 during. Though Hathaway was reluctant to share what she eats in a day, her younger co-star wasn't. She said that she was eating a lot of salad and vegetables, and was the one to describe the diet as rabbit food. Not only did Anne Hathaway opt to lose weight for the role, but also her hair. In the musical, the character has her hair cut, so Hathaway decided to actually cut her hair off for the film. Hathaway ended up winning an Oscar in Best Supporting Actress for the role. Chris Hemsworth shocked fans when he posted his extreme transformation for the movie In the Heart of the Sea. Hemsworth was barely recognizable in his photo. For one, he is pretty dirty and has long facial hair, but more than that, fans were concerned because he was very slim in the shot. He looked like someone stranded at sea for 90 days, because that was the point. Hemsworth drew attention to his physical appearance with his caption, "Just tried a new diet/training program called Lost at Sea, wouldn't recommend it." Hemsworth had already slimmed down for the thriller Black Cat before Heart of the Sea. I mean, like, in comparison to his Norse god Thor's stature, but he lost an additional 15 pounds for Heart of the Sea and described it as exhausting. He shared that bulking up for a role is way better than losing weight. There is a mental toll as much as a physical one, and he said that he was almost playing mind games with himself with what he could and couldn't eat and when. His diet apparently had him clocking around 500 calories a day. Hemsworth said the process of looking like his character actually ended up helping him get better in the mindset. At the time, he ended up saying that not much acting was really required on his part because he actually was that desperate.